and thereby help the business saying that you're going to benefit by doing X, Y, Z, or you had to pick up an external consultant to do it?
Great question, Aarti. I think it's, again, do you lead from the front? So when you see that situation is not what it needs to be, actually it's not the day when the CEO is fired that we've known that things are not going the way. Because if you, as I started out saying, I take the value of being HR in an organization as an org health doctor, that means we have the diagnostics. We need to have the pulse of the employees. We also need to know, because if an employee is disengaged or something is not happening, it's also about, are we paying bonuses? Are we paying our comps? Now, if I'm not able to pay, what does that mean? My business is tanking or something is not going well, and hence I'm not able to keep up with my commitment. So you do have several indicators which you get to know just as a sales leader would get to know. So you know different, right? They listen to the customer voice, you're listening to the internal customer voice. So we did give those indicators. So just to let you know, when you were talking about the board actually also has certain committees. In some of the key committees, HR is a key player. So talent leader has the seat at the table, very clearly. It's not just listening to business, because you're investing in talent, especially in industries like ours, where it's so intensive on the knowledge of the individual. They are our assets. We do have talent sitting at the table, talking about the business strategies, or talking about, hey, you really can't think, or if you really want to move in that direction, we may want to do this. So we do a lot of skill assessment and so on. But we also bring in, you can't be everything while you're multi-hatting and so on. So you would indicate this is the right time for you to bring in an independent consultant, a third party, so that we can partner with them and work along with them so that they will be able to, because you have your day job too. And your teams are lean and they're working on it. So you have to keep the lights on, as we would say. At the same time, you have to bring in a strategic lever and start pushing it in a different direction. That's where consultants are a huge, partners who would bring in that element. And also they will share the best practices. They will give you the industry benchmarks. They will talk about other success stories or not so successful stories, which will help the leaders think differently and make the change happen quicker. So absolutely, yes. It happens much earlier, but the acceptance perhaps will come in when it hits, the iron rod is hot.
Hello, yeah. My name is Sudesh. I work for Shaili Infra Limited. See, we have discussed at length about the HR as an enabling function for an organization. But look at today, as an enabler. See, we have sufficiently discussed that HR as an enabler function. Can we look at this function to move up little more to contribute to business? Where is HR function standing at thinking, contributing to the business growth, becoming a partner, becoming a member in the war room, where ideas are talked about, discussed, and how much is today HR person is discussed to think through the business and contribute to the business growth. Today you are leaders who have worked for many bigger organizations. What is your experience? Is it a transformation taking place that HR getting contributed towards that cause of business? Are you really participating into? Can you tell me one of your experiences that you have been taken into value?
I thought the dairy business was one example which was already discussed, but I'll let the panelists again mention.
I just wanted to sort of put back a challenge. I think this is something which I hear in every HR forum, that HR needs to be at the board, on the board, whatever you call it. Have you ever come across this question in a finance forum or a marketing forum? Why are we so obsessed with this presence on the board? I think we need to reflect, pause and reflect on that. Second, we think that contribution to business can only happen at the higher levels of hierarchy. I still remember my first week of starting my professional career. I joined TVS and they were starting a Whirlpool, that's a appliance company, the collaboration. and I was asked to make a job description for a shift engineer. And that's a lesson that I still remember. What I did was, like probably all of us would do, quickly called up the automotive business. I said, you must be having a shift engineer job profile. Send me that job profile. I proudly he said, give me within 3 days time. I went the same day. I said, sir, here is the job profile. He gave me a knock on my head. He said, you come with a job profile. I asked you to do it. I gave you 3 days time. You think I'm mad to give you 3 days time expecting you to deliver it in 1 day? Have you cognized that probably the shift engineer's role in automobile industry would be very, very different from what is required in a washing appliance industry? Where is that nuances in the job description or basis on which you will be doing the interviews? Let's go back. Understand the similarities and dissimilarities. Come back with a revised strategy. That was my first learning that I had one time. That's something which I still follow. The second learning that I got some years later, one way for you to reflect and understand, are you there, so to say? Just forget whether anybody gives you that opportunity or not. Tomorrow, if you are in a plant and the factory manager normally chairs the meeting, are you preparing yourself to be ready to chair that meeting? You start working on that basis. Whether you get or not, that's it. But if you start preparing yourself that maybe 1 week, 1 year later, I probably will have to chair that meeting. Are you well equipped? So just keep that goal in mind. Have that ambition. Start working. Automatically your business reputation will start. These are two of my very, very important learnings which I thought I'd share in the context of how to go about auditions.
Thank you, Prabhakar. One real-time example I will give. One of our anchor clients not growing our business with the reason is my competitor who is in Bangalore, their scientific depth, their ability to solve problems. We have 150 team collaboration, pretty big. 150 in pharma services is a pretty big collaboration, R&D collaboration. And the solution is I need to solve the problem. So the business head comes and says, you guys know scientific depth is not there. But I'm not qualified to say scientific depth. How can I measure scientific depth? And what is the way I can relate it? He said, no, the number of PhDs what we have is relatively less than the Bangalore competition. And exactly this, we used to have 99 PhDs 24 months back. What we have done is we accelerated PhDs hiring. Second, we used to have a PhD program, where tie-up with the JNTU, Usmania, and other universities. We accelerated that enrollments into that. Third, we also ensure that if you want to promote to particular band, you need to have a PhD. So otherwise, you are not eligible for promotion. We brought 3 interventions to create that energizing that PhD is required. Today, my company, after maybe 20 months or 22 months later, I have 215 doctorates and postdoctorates are working with us. And one of my colleagues, Dr. P.V. Srinivas, who is L&D head, is sitting here. He draws that programs for our organization. So that's what business problem, connect it, come out with series of intervention, solve the problem, and your business manager will respect you. I echo what Prabhakar has said. You need not be working with board. You need not be solving bigger problem. As long as you solve your business head problem, you are there with him. You are a strategic business partner for him. You solve it, then you are there.
One last question. Yeah.
Sir, this is Kalyan. Sir,
Okay.
this is Kalyan from Mahavir Group. My question is very simple. Generally, we observe that customer first, employee next approach in business growth. How to convince the management that employee first?
I'll take this. It all depends on what kind of industry you are in, right? As I reiterated again and again, in an industry like ours, where everything depends on the employee becomes center stage. At the same time, we're not going to be foolish not listening to the customer voice. Because unless we straddle and balance these two, because that's what runs the business or keeps our head above waters, A, and B, helps us really move forward in terms of the scale. So if you really know what you want to do and where you want to go today, and tomorrow where is it your future, we would say future-proofing yourself. You're looking at employee definitely because you can't ignore. If you ignore the employee is not going to be with you, for sure, because talent market will determine. At the same time, if you ignore the customer, there is no way. So you will have to balance out that instead of saying, it's not a rank order and say, is it customer first, is it employee second, or is it employee first, or is it customer second? It's a balancing act. It's like if you have two children, if you're already married and you have 2 kids, now who do you? It depends on priority. Sometimes if it's a sick child, maybe you treat that sick child first and then look at the other one. Or sometimes you take turns. There are ways in which you really start, but you tell each one they have a significance. Prabhakar also mentioned it earlier very clearly. The value proposition may be different from an employee versus a customer. So when you take care of an employee, what does make the employee really stick and engage? The DNA of the employee, DNA of the organization. Is there a match or a mismatch? If we don't do that assessment and if we don't create levers, depending on the life cycle of the organization, then we would lose that. At the same time, customer is important. Tomorrow it's new market perhaps, which we'll move into. Accordingly, we'll shift those priorities.
On the point of value proposition, so let me tell you, our employee value proposition is simple. It's learning, growing, and succeeding. If you were to go to any of our ads in the social media, you'd see these 3 words: learning, growing, and succeeding. So if you were to isolate the customer, you'll not even be able to relate to the employee value proposition. Learning for what? You're working in a company. As an employee, you're getting paid to learn the skills that will meet the customer's end. Growing, you can grow when your customers are going to succeed. So, your success is determined that if your customers are satisfied. So I don't think you can look at your employee value proposition, which is basically what's in it for me, in isolation from the customer in any way.
Another point that I wanted to say is, I think all of us tend to get caught into this marketing and branding things that floats around our minds. We forget to go back to our first principles. What is the organization at the end of it is like a human body. Different parts. Can we say brain is more important than heart or hands or legs? It's just going back to first principles without getting caught into all this nuances, jargons, etc. As long as we keep our mind uncluttered, simple, life will be much, much easier for us.
I think that's one more. Can we take one more question? Okay. So you have a microphone with you?
Organizations can engage with schools more, because we want to ensure that our students are trained, they understand what it is to work, the professionalism. We would like to train them vocationally and not just knowledge from the books. And it's a request on how a school can engage more with companies and get our children to have opportunities to engage with companies.
Okay. Thank you. Your question?
This is typical to healthcare. Keeping healthcare at the back of the mind, I'm asking this particular question. Healthcare is such an industry where doctors play a major role. And the doctor numbers is less. For example, if you take a company which has about a 1,000 strength, the doctors may be 100 or 200 max. But 800, if you look at it, right from outsourced services to 100 and 200 to nursing staff to admin staff will be majority. But the importance is given to the doctors because they bring in business and they take care of the patients, etc. Now, when you're looking at a HR role, and when you're looking at the associates who are working in the organization, there is always a clash. And because of this, the retention, the attrition is very high. It's very difficult to retain an associate in an organization. It's very, very difficult. And training them and then let go is another aspect of it. So what I would like to ask is, how an HR can play a role where we can bring into the management a concept that all of them are equally important, that is cross-functional concepts. How can HR drive? Is it possible only through L&D, or is it possible through HR processes and systems or policies? Or should we drive it through OD, that is mission, vision, and core values that an organization have? Do we drive with it? How do we take this forward and bring a connectivity between them? Because they're too distant. You have head thinking on one way, and entire body is going somewhere else. So there is a lot of conflict that goes on, and there is a lot of stress in the organization. So how do we address this? And what can HR do here?
So I'll leave it to the panelists.
You should actually have Aarti consult.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Because it really calls for a case study, as Prabhakar and I were just exchanging. Because you need to study. You have to do a diagnosis in terms of how many is the intake, what's the churn ratio. You also have to look at other healthcare, units. What is happening in terms of talent markets? Why are they leaving? Is it because of disrespect or devalued? Or is it because they're getting better opportunities, they're moving out? Unless you understand all those dynamics, it's very simple for us to say, oh, it's only because we are not the core function. May not be. It depends on what's happening in the external market. Why are they going? Where are they going? As HR, first thing I would do is a reflective survey or an exit survey. If they're leaving me today, are they leaving? At what stage are they leaving me? Is it after 3 years? Is it after, within the probationary period? Whatever. You will have that. One is that. And who are you bringing in and where are you bringing them from? So all those, whole entire study, there won't be, one shoe fits all kind of a mantra which we can offer unless we study all this. There should be a clear diagnostic assessment with the data you have. And then people will be able to offer a solution clearly saying this is where you want to go. Because that's a complex problem solving HR can do and must do.
Wanted to sort of not, obviously a solution cannot be given, but just using this to give you two perspectives. I think HR should learn to bite the bullet. And what I mean by bite the bullet here is, and I'm giving our own hotels example. In the example of hotels, chefs are very, very important, if that's your key business driver. Chefs get more salary than the CEOs. That's a reality. What is important is, do you have the conviction to defend that proposition? Second, are you transparent about it? Very often we are not transparent about it, and that is the root cause of the problem.
Thank you. So thank you very much. I think it was a highly interactive audience and very insightful questions and probes. I think it kept the panelists also pretty involved in the conversation. And thank you very much, Prabhakar, Kiranmai, Suresh, and Samit. Brilliant insights. And I have been the beneficiary of absorbing all of it. So, and I'll make money out of it being a consultant. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Debu, and to all the panelists for a really, really insightful discussion and made all the more useful by your real-life experiences and perspectives. We are really grateful for that, and I'm sure all the delegates here have taken back lots of critical learning pieces. May I now invite Avinash Sharma, Branch Head Hyderabad of Shine.com, to felicitate our panelists. Avinash. As we come to the close of the 17th Shine HR Conclave, the Hyderabad chapter, it is my pleasure to deliver a vote of thanks to all those who have helped make this event such a success. On behalf of Shine.com, we would like to express our heartfelt thanks to everyone present. Your interactive questions and your contribution really added a lot of value to the event. We thank all our panelists for their views on today's topics. It has been a really pleasure to have the pleasure of hosting you. Shine.com would continue to support the HR fraternity through such forums and through our products, and we hope to meet you soon to explore opportunities to showcase how Shine.com can help you with your recruitment needs. We also thank our sponsors, our relocation partner, DRS Group, Agarwal Packers and Movers, recruitment software partner, application tracking system, academic partner, Sri Vasavi College, event partners, Aparna Constructions, H&R Block India, NRI Engineering College, and Srinivasa Institute of Engineering and Technology. Thank you all. I would now request you to kindly join us for cocktails and dinner. Thank you very much.
I'll connect to you. Are you in LinkedIn?
हो रहे हो सुनील बाबू का फिर से ट्रांसफर हुआ है